Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Countdown podcast with Declan Hughes and Peter Lynch. Before we get started, we want to shout out Freelance Football Ops, who are a group who share football media jobs, and they can be found on Twitter and LinkedIn by Freelance Football Ops. So, this week, as you can see, there's only myself and Peter, and we thought with the international break looming, the World Cup qualifying squads for 2022 in Qatar have been announced, and there's also some friendlies mixed in there as well. So we want to talk about our respective countries and their squads. So, Peter, another Ireland man. Squad just got announced. Squad just got announced today, so you've had less time to actually think about it. But what are your thoughts on the squad?
Yeah, I would say excitement first up, definitely, and I'm always excited to see the names out there. That's mainly this time around because of our attacking options. So I'd say it's our strongest attacking lineup we've had in a good few years, to be honest. We have Connor Washington and Josh McGuinness, both on 11 League One goals for the season. So they're bang in form. We also have Dion Charles from Accrington Stanley, a first international call-up for him. He was in the younger setup for the country, but now this is his first time playing with the seniors. He actually has 16 League One goals to his name. So I think we're all pretty excited to see him in action. Another first senior call-up actually comes for a goalkeeper, Nathan Gartside, who is a Derry man, currently playing for Derry City. Actually went to my primary school. Would you believe it?
Nice.
I wasn't going to go into a story about him, but I think I might as well now. So yeah, we actually back in the day, I think I was captain of the team, and I got to pick the 11 players. It might have been even 7 aside back then. I think it was. In primary school, I got to pick it with the teacher, and we had a kickabout at lunchtime with a couple of friends of mine, and I think one of our friends just had a blinder, so we thought we'll put him in goals. Didn't even give Nathan a look in. And now Nathan's playing for Northern Ireland. So not a great decision for me, to be honest. I think we lost the game pretty heavily. I can remember my mate making a few mistakes. So I apologise to Nathan, but it's amazing to see. He was actually at Watford a few years ago, playing at the highest level. Then he had a bit of a health scare, unfortunately. So it's great to see him back, and at this level, it's amazing. So it's quite a journey for him, and a huge shout out to him. It's really great to see him doing well. But yes, I think he'll still be obviously, maybe third choice behind Peacock Farrell and Connor Hazard from Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Yeah, but also, with those positives come a negative, and that is the injury to Paddy McNair. I couldn't believe it. He's actually included in the squad, but I think he hobbled off in Middlesbrough's game of the weekend there against Preston with a knee injury. And, I'd go as far as saying he's been our best player under Ian Barclough in his first couple of games. Neil Warnock at Middlesbrough, I think, called him the best player that he's ever managed. So he's got a bit of a fan club already. So it's really unfortunate. But, fingers crossed he'll recover. But I can't see him playing, to be honest. But thankfully, we still have, our strong core. We've still got Johnny Evans, Steve Davis, Craig Cathcart, all those guys. And then Sturdy Dallas as well, of course, who's flying in the Premier League with Jamal Lewis, because I think, Premier League quality is an absolute necessity to be in the international setup. I mentioned a few League One players, no disrespect to League One or the lower leagues, but I think you need to have at least a handful of, Premier League players in there.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how I would describe it. And that kind of leads into, the Scotland squad. Your thoughts on that? Because obviously there's, I think, a lot more Premier League players in there, especially, the likes of Jay Adams getting called up.
Yeah, for the most part, I think the squad's kind of what I'd like to see. There's a lot of talent in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a couple of major exclusions that I would have had in the squad based on form. I think David Turnbull at Celtic's shown enough. He's been probably a standout. We've talked about this before, a standout for Celtic this season, and what's been a tough year. So I think he warranted a call-up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Ryan Gauld, who's found some form with Firenze.
Yeah.
15 goals in 39 games he's got this season. So I feel as though that's something that, or a player that deserved a call-up. We heard Steve Clark saying he'll go on form but it doesn't really seem too true with these two guys missing out. With when you see the likes of John Fleck and Ollie McBurney, like no disrespect to them two, but they're having a tough season at Sheffield United. So I feel as though there could have been some changes in the squad, maybe have those two in and have those two boys out. But I'm intrigued. You mentioned Shea Adams. Seen a little bit of him at Southampton. He looks like a strong player, kind of powerful, and hopefully he's a guy that can spring some sort of like goals into the squad, because I think that's one of our main weaknesses is we don't score a lot of goals where we're winning games 1-0 or we're tying 1-1. It's close, so we really need someone that's just that can score consistently for us. Like with Dykes, I think he's a great player. I think he offers a lot, big, physical, doesn't score a lot of goals though. So hopefully Shea Adams, if he gets a chance, he could be that player for us that can get the goals. Also in the squad, Jack Henry was an interesting inclusion. Centre backs, we'll talk about this later. I think centre backs is another issue for Scotland, where that's probably where our weakness is. Whereas Northern Ireland, I think that's a strong point. I think in defence. So he's having a good season in Belgium though. So hopefully, if he does get a game, we'll be able to see what he could offer to Scotland. But yeah, it's exciting times with these games coming up. I'm really looking forward to them. So definitely. going into the fixtures, we'll go back to Northern Ireland. Pete, you've got 3 games. You've got a friendly with USA, which is sandwiched in between your 2 qualifiers, but we'll talk about the US game later. So focusing on the World Cup ones, you've got Italy away and you've got Bulgaria at home. So what are you expecting to take from those 2 games?
I mean, straight up, I think we should mention, I think we were discussing off air and I was kind of giving it the big one that Italy, weren't, they're not what they used to be, and they didn't have, the kind of superstars that they used to have. And then I did a bit of research, found out that they're unbeaten in their last 22 games. So not a great thing for me once again. And then you add that to the fact that our kind of a relatively new manager, Ian Baraclough, he's actually yet to win a game in 90 minutes anyway. So he's had 8 matches. We beat Bosnia on penalties. So, I mean, if you count that as a draw, whatever way you look at it. So, couple those 2 things together, it isn't ideal. But I would say 2 massive points here is that Michael O'Neill, who was, an absolute legend, still is, of course, he actually didn't get a win as Northern Ireland manager for 595 days, which is pretty insane for what he went on to achieve. So, and secondly, Baraclough took over a team that was, aging. You'll have the likes of Davis is getting a lot older, maybe not the player that he used to be. And then you have the fact that the old guard, have gone, sadly. You like Gareth McCauley, Aaron Hughes, Chris Brunt, 3 absolute legends, massive players. So he's taken on a young squad. And then even to make matters worse, you have the likes of Ollie Norwood playing in the Premier League for Sheffield United, and he makes a decision to focus on his club career. So that was a bit of a blow. Things just kind of went from bad to worse. So he's obviously a talented player, but, it's a personal reason of his, and I think a lot of players choose it. So, no hard feelings, but I think he would be great in that midfield. So a tough start for Baraclough. But yeah, I mean, Bulgaria, I'm confident we can beat Bulgaria in Belfast. Straight up, I'd like to think we have enough. I think they actually have a few injuries as well, so I'm pretty confident that we can do a job over them, even without fans in Windsor. Italy, you give me that game maybe 3-4 years ago, 100% I'm backing us to beat them. Under Michael O'Neill, easy. At Windsor Park, no matter where we are, we'll beat them. But now the optimist in me says maybe we could sneak a draw, sneak a 0-0, but the realist says that they're going to come out on top, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
So yeah, I mean, moving on to you guys, I think there's 3 qualifiers there for Scotland. Yeah, no friendlies. So you also have a tough one against Austria, I believe, and the Faroes and Israel. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how do you see those games going?
I think we need to set a marker down early in this group. We're at home against Austria, and there's real positivity around the team at the moment. Obviously qualifying for the Euros, and then we're getting as I said, the strong's looking really the squad's looking really strong. So, and then the Austrians, I think, am I right that the German players might not make the team for the Scotland game? I don't know if
you could be
true or not, but that rules out their captain, Alaba, right? So if that's the case, then I'd fancy us at home. As I said, set a marker, try get 3 points against the strongest team on paper, you would say, in that group. Then we play Israel, who we've played a lot recently, and we've actually struggled against them. If we won the Nations League game, we could have won that group, and that would have made the qualifying a little bit easier because we'd have had the playoff to go through, but we didn't. So, but again, being optimistic and the positivity going around the squad, I think we can go there and win. Hopefully, at least get a point is what I'm looking at it. Faroe Islands should be a comfortable win, but it's Scotland, so I don't rule out anything spectacular happening there. So no easy games for us, but I'd expect to win that. So with those three, I'm looking. The positive guy in me says 7 or 9 points would be a great start, in which we can probably agree isn't the toughest group. There's no Spain, Germany, England, or anything in there. I think it's Denmark and Austria are the two top ones, and then it should be us. So yeah, just a real positive start in these 3 games would make the world of good for us, and yeah, that's what I'm looking for out of it.
Yeah, I think actually it's kind of similar. Sorry, just because you have Austria, we have Italy. It's kind of the perfect game. Maybe I know it's easy to say that, but it's good to get those games out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
toughest
absolutely.
game of the group for us. So yeah, out of the way, over and done with, and then we welcome them to Belfast later in the year.
No, spot on. But let's just talk a little bit about the friendly then. Northern Ireland, it's sandwiched in between those 2 qualifiers. You've got the USA, so we've talked in previous episodes of what we think about the US team and how promising it is. I think they've got 2 friendlies, so I don't think the squad's as strong, but there's still a lot of talent in there. But for you, from like a Northern Ireland perspective, like what are you wanting to take from this game? Are you thinking these less experienced guys come in and get a game, or do you think you go with the strongest squad again and work on like maybe the shape or maybe some tactical elements that the manager wants to imply?
Yeah, as you say, we've talked a lot about these players, the likes of Pulisic, Dest, Adams. I think Sargent's a really talented player. You mentioned they have a free friendlies. I think they also have some Gold Cup World Cup qualifiers. The Gold Cup tournament and then World Cup qualifiers coming up later in the year, maybe in autumn. So, I can see them bringing a couple of talented players at least anyway. And this is the first time we're playing each other. 2 countries coming together, so I think it has all the ingredients to be a good one. But then I think because it's 3 days after the Italy game, it's 3 days before the Bulgaria game. I can see Baraclough resting the big guns because I don't know anyone who could play 3 matches in that sort of time frame. So yeah, perfect chance to see some young players, maybe Kieran Brown at Cardiff, who had a spell at Livingston actually in defence. Gavin White, who's doing really well at Hull now, had a hard time at Cardiff actually. Used to play against him season after season in Northern Ireland. He was playing at Crusaders and I was at Limavady, so yeah, actually I remember him doing pretty well, so it's good to see him doing well now. And he scored with his first touch, I'm pretty sure, for Northern Ireland a while back, so yeah, he could get another chance. And then if Italy, if the Italy game doesn't go well, it's a perfect chance for Baraclough to get his first, proper win, whatever you want to call it, under his belt.
Yep.
A bit of confidence going into that game. And you're back on the players. St. Johnston's Ali McCann. I think he's going to be a huge player for us. I think he's only 21 years old, so we might see him a bit. And if I'm not mistaken, actually, Liam Boyce's wife maybe going into birth into labour pretty soon, so he might actually pull out, and I think it could be the chance for Shane Lavery to get another game because he's been really impressive. I think he's maybe 18 goals for Linfield this season in the Irish Premiership, and I think he's done really well for us before, so I think he deserves a chance, but he just missed out this time. So who knows? I'm getting ahead of myself, obviously, but yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think you're obviously over there in America, and I think you've been catching up with a lot of the players a lot, see how they're getting on. So anyone to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the squad and there's some young talent in it. So you've got Daryl Dyke of Barnsley, he's in there. Owen, I don't want to ruin this guy's name. Is it Owen Atosi or something? Whatever. Sorry if I butchered his name there. Of Wales, he's in there. Chris Richards is in there, who's on loan at Hoffenheim from Bayern. So there's young guys in there. But overall, you've still got the star names like Gio Reyna's in there, Tyler Adams, Pulisic, Zach Steffen's in there. So there's still those guys. But two younger ones that I'm kind of looking forward to watching is Brendan Aronson. Again, I think we've mentioned him before, Red Bull Salzburg. I think Larry mentioned him on our last podcast. I've personally watched a lot of him playing when he was at Philadelphia Union. Real standout for that team in the last couple of seasons and the success that they had. And he's now starting to make an impact at Red Bull Salzburg under Jesse March. But we don't know how much longer for, do we, Pete? The news lately. I'm getting a little bit excited, but we'll leave him there right now. I need to shout out that he was born and raised in Marlton, New Jersey, because I get a lot of stick from some people over here when I don't mention where he's from. So that's in Burlington County, which is the county that I'm currently living in, and also coaching these counties as well. So he's a real inspiration for the up and coming generation of players in this area. So really want to see him doing well and get a chance in the US team in these two friendlies coming up. But I think the really exciting player is Yunus Musa, who's at Valencia. I think he's now committed to the US team, even though he was played for England under 15s up to 18s. So 18 years old, and now he's really breaking into that Valencia team. 6 foot, a winger, strong, pacey. Hopefully add some goals to his game. So I think he's probably the guy that I think a lot of the US fans are really looking forward to seeing in these two games to see what he's all about. But yeah, he looks like a really exceptional talent for the US.
Interesting, definitely. But hopefully they don't do too well in Belfast.
Yeah, true. But the Jamaica game, they've got the Jamaica game they can do well, and then let's hope they have an off day.
Yeah,
they play Northern Ireland.
Players to watch out for there. That kind of leads into perfectly our countdown for this week, which you know all about. So we're going to focus on, the top 3 most important players for this international break for our respective countries. So I think we'll start with you. Number 3, work your way down, the 3 most important Scotland players for the next couple of matches.
Right. I don't know if people agree with my number 3, but I'm going to say Ryan Christie. I think we know Celtic have had a tough season, right? And Ryan Christie's been one of the players that's been a real disappointment. But see, on his day, he's a really good player when he's coached right and when he's played in the right position. I think he's a really good player, and I think personally he'll start the Scotland games, and I think he plays a pivotal role in that team. We saw he scored the goal against Serbia as well. Did he score? I think he scored a penalty in the shoot. Oh no, he missed a. Did he miss a penalty or did he score? I think he scored. Sure. I think he scored. It was the Celtic game in the cup final he missed. But yeah, for Scotland, he's been a real standout player. And I think with the lack of goals that we've got in that position, when you look at it right now, he's going to be really crucial to create opportunities for the strikers or for the wingers that are playing. And then he's also going to have to chip in with scoring some goals himself, which he's more than capable of doing. And when you look at the other midfielders that we'll have, who'll probably start for Scotland, you're looking at maybe Ryan Jack, John McGinn, Callum McGregor, McTominay. There's not a lot of goals in there. They're more kind of wanting to control and win midfield battles for us, especially under Steve Clarke. So I think that'll be those kind of guys' roles. McTominay might even go into defence. So I think when you look at the player that will start, if it's Christie, like Armstrong or whatever, I think it'll be Christie. So I think he's going to have an important job to score and then also help our strikers try and find a little bit of form. So he's my number 3. Number 2 is going to be David Marshall, the hero that he is, a legend, loving man, can't do no wrong. But I think we'll need more heroics in these qualifying games because I've mentioned the centre of defence doesn't fill me with great confidence. I hope I get proved wrong, I really do. But I feel as though teams will create chances against us. Like Austria, I've got some talented forwards. Denmark are a really solid team. Israel have scored against us, so we know these teams are going to create chances. So we need a goalie that's going to be really on form, and hopefully David Marshall can continue the way he's been playing for Scotland. So we really need him to be his best. Number 1 is going to be Kieran Tierney.
Yeah,
I think there's a common thread with my 3 players of who they used to play for or currently play for. But right, I think arguably you could say he's in better form or even a better left back than Andy Robertson. I don't know if people agree with me on that, but he's really shone in that Arsenal team.
yeah.
I don't think he'll play left back. I think Robertson's the captain. I think he'll play in the left. But I think Tierney's going to play centre back, either in a 2 or what we have been playing is 3 at the back. And I think he'll play the left side of a back 3. So he's done a good job in there. So he's very versatile. He can play that position. He'd done it for Celtic one time, and he's done it for Scotland. He might have even done it for Arsenal as well. So, and he's too good a player to just have in the bench, right? Like you can't have that kind of talent and it's Scotland as well. So you don't really get a lot of top draw players, and we've got 2 in the one position, which is obviously tough to get around. But he can play that centre back role. He's strong, aggressive. He's got the leadership qualities to do it, and I think that's exactly what we need in this Scotland team. So for that reason, he is my number 1, and he always will be my number 1. Love the boy.
Nice.
So that's my 3, Pete. We're going to go back to you. Your top 3 Northern Ireland players for these qualifiers. What are you thinking?
Yeah, really tough question. I think I talked about him before, but Paddy McNair, he would have been in there definitely, but I can't see him making it, as I said. But you talk about your love for Tierney. My number 3 is Josh McGuinness, up top, absolute hero of mine. He's just I just can't describe him, honestly. What a player. But more seriously, I think his experience is going to be key in a young squad, which is ultimately what we have now. He's a big game player. He knows where the net is, definitely. I don't like to, keep going on about it, but we might not get many chances against Italy. We might be under pressure a lot, so I think it's going to be a lonely night for him. But, if anyone can hold up a ball up top, it's him, bring others into play. We might not get many chances, but, he's the one who could take them. So yeah, he'd be my number 3, definitely. I can see him, playing a key role because unfortunately, we're not scoring many goals at the moment, but, he could be the man to deliver.
Yep.
Number 2, opposite end of the pitch, Bailey Peacock-Farrell in goals. I'll be brutally honest, I had my doubts about him at the very start. I was still kind of hoping for Michael McGovern in between the sticks, but Peacock-Farrell's the main man, and he's massively proved me wrong. Like, he's been huge for us. If I'm being harsh on him, I would say that his footwork still isn't great, but his shot stopping second to none. And I'm very much of the old school train of thought that keepers should not be kicking a ball at all. They should just keep to their hands. Let the outfield players, do it at their feet. But he's actually not playing much at Burnley. But yeah, it's no shame because he's second string to Nick Pope, who's I think maybe going to be the England number 1 in the coming games, which, to be fair, isn't that difficult at the minute. But no, that's a bit harsh. But yeah, I think training with the likes of Pope, every single day of the week, training at a Premier League club is just massive for a young goalkeeper. So yeah, he's going to be key for us. And Italy could be on top, so he's definitely going to have a massive role. And even Bulgaria, he's you can count on him to make plenty of decent saves. So yeah, number one, again, you talked about Tierney being consistent. This is Stuart Dallas, Mr. Consistent for club and country. If I talked about McGuinness being amazing, like Dallas is just a step above. What he does for Northern Ireland is unbelievable. He just blows my mind every time he steps onto the pitch. His passion, his desire. And then, he's playing left back, he's playing right back, right wing, centre midfield, you name it, and there's no questions asked. He just does it, and he does an amazing job wherever he is. I think he might even become Leeds Player of the Year this season, and that's, in the Premier League, which is no mean feat. And, he's always on form for us. So, yeah, he's going to be key again, and he's my main man to, help us through these games, definitely.
Love it. Well, I think we can both agree it's exciting times for both our countries. We're both hoping for a bit of positivity, positive results. I'm sure you'll see by our faces in the next couple of weeks if it's not went too well. So we'll get that. We'll get that to look forward to. But that being said, I think that's all we've got time for today. Pete, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. I like it when we do our one-on-ones and we get to voice our opinions. That's always fun.
Yeah, absolute pleasure as always.
Yep, and thank you everybody for listening. As we keep saying, the response has just been fantastic, more than I think you and I would ever or could ever have wanted. So 100%. Really appreciate that. Keep listening if you've got a spare 20-30 minutes. It really means a lot to us. If you haven't followed, you can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, anything. Just that would be much appreciated. But thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next week.